Merten, thank you for joining our program today.
Pleasure, Anna.
Well, we have seen that the MPF recorded profits in March. So does it mean the worst situation has been over?
Everyone's looking for the good news at the moment. I think in my role as a trustee looking after members' interests, obviously I'm not meant to comment on investment outlook. But I think, as I said, everyone's looking for good news. Our investment managers are saying that what they feel is that there's less uncertainty. 3 months ago, nobody knew how bad it was going to be. Nobody thinks it's going to be a great year this year, but people are beginning to feel like they have some certainty about how bad it's going to be and the potential for a recovery later in the year. But I guess you're asking because of people wanting to think about what they should do with their MPF money, and I'll keep coming back to the issue in the MPF is that it's really a long-term investment vehicle, and that if people are trying to choose tactics and time in a short-term basis, they're actually subjecting their money to actually much more risk around actually getting it wrong and making a bad decision in the short term.
Mm-hmm. Do you find the financial crisis actually make people less willing to pay to the voluntary contribution to the MPF?
I think people generally are thinking about where do we put our money. The reality is we've seen very little change in the voluntary contribution level. If you look at the MPFA statistics, the December 2008 quarter contribution levels were very similar to December 2007. We look at our internal statistics, the same again. There's been very little change through to the end of March of the level of voluntary contributions. But I would point out the level of voluntary contributions is quite low. And what that unfortunately means is there's potentially a lot of people who aren't using the MPF system, getting the flexibility and benefits of it enough to fund their retirement properly. So really not much change, which might be inertia rather than a positive, but the problem is whether people are really contributing enough into the Provident Fund to fund their retirement.
Mm-hmm. Well, the government is now studying to allow the employee to choose their provider on the portion of their own contribution. Do you think that will make a lot of employees to change their provider?
I think it'll create a whole level of awareness. The government and the industry will do publications around how to choose and what to choose. So I think people will be much more conscious than they have been about the fact that they can choose. There'll be some confusion as well because the rules, we don't know what the rules will be, but trying to explain to people what they can move and what they can't move will need quite a lot of care by the industry and the regulator. People will be more aware. In other countries, sometimes this change has had no effect and people have known they've got the ability to change but really haven't done very much. For us at Manulife, we think it gives people an opportunity to actually look for services that they need, whether that's an intermediary who can help them, who didn't because their employer might have chosen somebody else and there was no intermediary service. So we see lots of things that Manulife does that will help members, and therefore we hope to attract quite a lot of people because of our products and our services, and that they come at a good price.
Thank you very much for joining our program today.
My pleasure. Thanks,
Thank you.